Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
I'm just kidding, guys. I'm going to keep it light. We want to try to keep things a little bit fun on a very boring topic, but an important topic. To my fellow car guys and car girls out there, my name is Tony Pape. I was a performance manager with Viato for 10 years. I can say I was one of the top performance managers of Viato with confidence because in the car business, I have always firmly believed that your pay plan is your job description. Therefore, the guy or gal making the most money is the top person, and I was by far making the most money. It wasn't even close. Before getting unceremoniously fired from Viato for what they say was using illegal drugs and alcohol at the company meeting in Atlanta, where we were giving public speeches to the CEO Steve Rowley, who's really just a waste of space stuffed in a cheap suit, and their asshead leader, John Chafin, a man whose name literally means that uncomfortable rash that you get in your inner thighs from walking too far in a wet swimsuit. You know what I'm talking about. Among other complete waste of space over at Viato, MBA's losers. Um, P.S. From here on out, let's just go ahead and refer to John Chafin as the Rash. I think that's a little bit nicer fit for him and his nitwit buddies. Now, I don't know about y'all, but public speaking makes me pretty nervous. It's downright scary. I think for a lot of people, I hear it's the number one fear, death being number two. So it's scary, right? So for me to decide out of the fucking clear blue sky to do drugs and drink alcohol, which I was accused of, is certainly an interesting choice for me. Wouldn't you agree? Moreover, I don't know if any of you have been on an airplane since 9/11, but to take drugs on an airplane is certainly a major crime that will land you in jail, if not get you shot in the face. And another really interesting choice for myself. But I digress. It is the purpose of this present video to explain to each of you, fellow car guys and girls, how Cox is screwing you over royally. And then we're going to wrap this up with how to unfuck yourself. What I am about to disclose to you, I have already disclosed to the FBI, the DOJ, the FTC. I have met with the agencies a couple last month and one just the other week. And they say, if I so choose, I can alert the dealer body as to what I saw, what I did in this whole letter. And guess what? I so choose. And you can thank Lorella Johnson in HR for that. This dingbat airhead, who I tried to throw a lifeline to and said, don't you want me to sign some type of a non-disclosure agreement, Lorella? To which she replied, nope, no need. Well, Lorella, buckle up, Buttercup, because it's about to get real interesting for you. In fact, in light of trying to keep things light and fun, let me just play a little video for you, Lorella Johnson.
Talk about how we can find out and how much we can find out and what it takes to get there. So first we have to decide how much do we want to find out. So let's say in this case, I want to find out at a level of 7. Okay, so I find that level on my graph and I come horizontally to my gradient line. Where it intersects with my gradient line, I'm going to come straight down to where it intersects with my fuck around line. That there is going to tell me how much I have to fuck around to find out what I need to find out. See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. And also, if you stay down here and you never fuck around, you'll never find out. So I hope this lesson is helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, Lorella, I hope this lesson is helpful to you because you were fucking around at around 11. I don't know why you didn't have me sign a non-disclosure, but you're an airhead, and that makes sense. So you're about to find out at a level of 11, straight up like Spinal Tap. This amp goes up to 11, which is higher than 10. Just, you see how that math works, honey? Okay, here we go. So one more thing, I am just tossing around in my early retirement here, writing a book about this little story. I got the title all set. It's going to be called The Clear and Severe One-Sided Ass Whipping of a Large Private Company, The Ballad of Cox Automotive, MBA Douchebags That Should Have No Say, 2,817,322 V Good Guys, 1, Part 4, A New Hope. Let's dive right in. So here is the letter. I'm going to read it out loud. And the reason I'm doing this on YouTube is because if you guys are anything like me, you might want to do this in your car or just listen to it. You don't want to read this crap. But I'm going to include a link in the description to this actual letter that went to the FBI, the DOJ, the FTC, the National Association of Automotive Dealers, Tim Bliss, my buddy at Toyota Motor Sales, Jim Farley, my friend and CEO of Ford Motor Company, Bobby and Liz Sparrow, the AADA, that's Arizona, NADA basically, Chris Mays, the Attorney General of Arizona, Peggy J. Wedgeworth, the lead attorney in the Auto Dealers v. CDK MDL case, number 2817. I was holding until permission granted to tell all of you, and I was going to give it to Mark Holman at Auto News and Tim Banks at the Banks Report. Dear members of the law enforcement community and stakeholders of the automotive industry, again, my name is Anthony Pape. I'm a former employee of Cox Automotive. I had worked for Cox Automotive in their Vauto division for a little over 10 years. I was let go from the company on April 24th, 2024, for what the company says is not a requirement for them to disclose, but for what I have strong evidence is discrimination under the ADA. Spoken with attorneys at Kirkland Ellis and Loewy and Loewy, who provided me with the same advice. If I wish to bring a claim against Cox for wrongful termination, that advice is twofold. I must come clean and separate myself from all illegal activity that I have knowledge of in my time at Cox Automotive. If I don't do this, it could be seen as extortion. No lawyer would touch my case. Now, the FBI has again assured me that there is no way that I can be seen as extorting Cox Automotive because I have spilled my guts and told them everything. And I will have to take my case to full fruition. That's a jury trial, Cox. We're going to jury. The jury's going to decide if there should be monetary exchange based solely on the merits of that case before them. No sealed settlements, you little cowards with your sealed settlements. No misspoken words. That could land me in prison 100% for sure. So, it is the purpose of the present letter to accomplish the first task so that the attorneys can proceed with the second. And that's the purpose of this presentation, to let you know what douchebags Cox is, and so you can make the best decision possible for your businesses. And like I said, unfuck yourselves, which I will cover at the end. The letter will present the violation, then the evidence of violation. In some situations, I will provide hard evidence of the direct violation of the law. In some situations, I will provide you with circumstantial evidence. And then, if the law enforcement agencies wish to pursue the investigation, which, by the way, they do, I will make myself available to any accountant through the company's SFX Salesforce billing software, which, by the way, Lorella, you never sent that box for the laptop. So now the FBI has that laptop. They've unlocked it, and boy, they're loving it. I'm taking too much joy in this. I'm going to tone it down. When I was let go, my credentials were taken away. So if you guys need me, I'm here. It is not going to take the talent of a forensic accountant, but rather that of a high school graduate to see and understand Cox Automotive's violations. Violation 1 of the Sherman Antitrust Act. In 2017, Cox Automotive, along with a company called Authenticom and a number of auto dealers, brought civil suits against a company called CDK Global and Reynolds & Reynolds. CDK and Reynolds are sued so often together, the government refers to them both as CDK. And from this point forward, so will I, kind of like we're going to call Chafin simply the Rash. This case splintered into 3 separate cases: Cox Auto v. CDK, Authenticom v. CDK, and an MDL case, like a class action suit, guys, versus CDK. Now, Cox and Authenticom settled with CDK and removed their claims from the MDL case. The MDL case continues to this day through lead attorney Peggy J. Wedgeworth, copied. The case presented damning evidence, hard evidence, of the two companies conspiring in particular to put the good folks of Authenticom out of business, and they nearly did. When it was clear CDK didn't stand a chance, they settled with Authenticom in a sealed settlement, and Cox Automotive did so as well. Actually, is the first to settle, despite being the second to file suit, and you guessed it, a sealed settlement. Peggy has filed a motion with the court to compel Cox and CDK to reveal their settlement, which they have fiercely defended against. The crux of this case is that CDK has approximately 80% market share of the United States franchise auto dealer market for DMS, okay? And if you go by sales volume, it's over 90%. The other 10% is controlled by Cox Automotive's Dealertrack, Tekion, Autosoft firms, Fraser Scott, mostly independents. This software goes by the nickname DMS to industry insiders. The dealership management software is an automotive dealer's backbone for accounting, sales, service, financing, communicating with the dealer's manufacturer. For example, Toyota and Ford will send inventory data, parts data, etc., electronically directly into the system for the dealer. This is a giant leap forward in the two's productivity together. In fact, the company would have to go through some strict vetting by every manufacturer individually before gaining a manufacturer's approval to even be on the list of vendors that they can choose from. If they are not on that list, that the auto dealer will lose their franchise and put their franchise agreement at risk. For perspective, not even Microsoft has been able to break into this lucrative market. Okay, the CDK scumbags have got such a stranglehold on it. And again, when I say CDK, I'm talking about both the bad actors. With the advent of the internet and the rise of digital age, many companies began to appear that would overlay a more user-friendly, more innovative, and more effective software over the dealer's DMS to help auto dealers try and gain some type of competitive edge on the other car dealers. These companies could offer a dealer value and a strong return on their investment when compared to the slow-moving CDK. The CDK software has remained relatively unchanged, although it did go internet-based, right? But it's really the same old thing over the last 30 years. It's effective. It's reliable at what it does. It's also very expensive. It is not uncommon for a large dealer to pay $60,000, even $100,000 per month for use of the software. The company I worked for, vAuto, is an example of one of these smaller, faster, more innovative companies. The thing vAuto and every dealer software company like it has in common is that they need access to the dealership's DMS. They must be able to pull data and push data back into the dealer's DMS if they are to have any chance of being of value to the dealer. As time has gone on, CDK began to, in some facets of the car dealer's business, buy these smaller companies and start some of their own. The two companies always charged a modest $25 fee to access the dealer's DMS, okay? And one day they got together and decided, the geniuses that they are, right, to attempt to put each of these smaller companies out of business, or at least to hamstring their competitiveness while simultaneously adding a new profit center for CDK by increasing the fee from $25 to $500. Authenticom was hit the hardest. Their software was a success, in part, no doubt, to costing a dealer just $50, maybe $75 per month. They effectively were finished. Cox Automotive, on the other hand, offered a much more sophisticated software suite and support, quite frankly. Their software may cost anywhere from $1,800 to even $15,000 per month. While the case dragged on, Cox Automotive noticed something about its customers. That's you, the car dealer, okay? You're the customer. You guys didn't blink. You didn't blink at the fee, okay, when it went up. Our customers would always say the same thing. Something to the effect of, yeah, CDK are crooks, but what can I do? I distinctly remember the last contract I wrote for a dealer in Pennsylvania, Kelly Hyundai, that was crammed with $1,600 in CDK fees, in this case, the actual CDK Global. I always found it odd that here we are suing CDK for this fee that was really a pass-through to the car dealer. Cox never was harmed by this fee. We just passed it on through. If it wasn't for the tape-recorded and emailed hard evidence of CDK's desire to put its competitors out of business, knuckleheads they are, Cox would have no case, as they never paid the fee and never stopped growing by leaps and bounds. There is no evidence of any harm whatsoever done to Cox Automotive, period, end of story. The reason for the secrecy in the Cox settlement is simple. When Cox realized that their customers, the car dealers, were not balking at the CDK fees, the company, as opposed to Authenticom, who now accesses CDK DMS at no cost at all, the cost to Cox Automotive went up. That's not what I was expecting, okay? And I'm probably the only guy that watched this, the only guy that read all the cases, because my son is into law. He thinks he's going to be Tom Cruise from A Few Good Men. So he was kind of following this stuff. It's interesting to him. And it became really interesting to me as I read these cases. It was unbelievable because I was in total disbelief. How could we be in a lawsuit, win it, and end up in a worse position than we were? I mean, they apparently cut us some cash, but on the earnings call, CDK, they said they reserved $90 million total. I mean, that just cover a few months of the fee. I mean, you'd have to be either Cox and Automotive is the worst negotiators on planet Earth, which is kind of in the ballgame. But what they really did was they just became partners in the fee, okay? Keep in mind, Cox is a private company. They have no requirement to produce audited financial statements for the public. For the first time, appeared a line for revenue, cost of sales, or I'm sorry, cost of goods sold, and gross profit. Formerly, there was no cost of goods sold. We are not selling a physical product, just as a lawyer has no cost of goods sold, or a car dealer's finance department has no cost of goods sold. It's just the first line is gross profit on the F&I statement. You aren't selling anything tangible that must be mined, extracted, built, or shipped. Cost of goods sold was the fees from CDK. Then further down the statement came this new profit center I had not seen before. It was basically a rebate in the amount of 50% of the cost of goods sold. In other words, Cox Automotive chose to strengthen the trust and make a duopoly a triopoly. The fee of $500 per month per business unit, emphasis added, to access the car dealer's DMS may not seem like much, but amounts to roughly $50 million per month in pass-through fees to Cox Automotive's customers. So for CDK to reserve $90 million to settle all the suits, and we're getting nailed for $50 million a month, that's really quite unbelievable. Instead of eliminating that fee like Authenticom, again, Cox decided to split the fee with CDK and make it one of their stronger profit center. To be even more clear, Cox, under the guise of the Sherman Antitrust Act, violated the Sherman Antitrust Act for their own profit, thus keeping prices higher for car dealers, thus keeping prices higher for every single American. There is not one citizen in the United States is not harmed financially in some way by this hidden tax. I just went and got tacos tonight. It was $33. I mean, this is really where it started, was the car business. Not so much because of this, because of the chips, but it just adds up. I cannot provide anything more than circumstantial evidence of this crime, as I'd need law enforcement to unlock my laptop, which I still have in my possession. Scratch that. The FBI now has that laptop. Lorella should have sent that box. That laptop was locked 4 days before I was let go remotely using BitLocker by Cox Automotive. I retained it for the DOJ and other agencies, and again, they have it and are loving it. Who, if they choose to pursue, would have to compel it to be unlocked and walk Cox, or to get a password for Salesforce, so I can walk them through Cox's accounting software and show them all the hard evidence they're ever going to need. You might be saying to yourself, sound risky for Cox to do? Please never underestimate Cox's brazen disregard for the law and their contempt for the manufacturer, their contempt for the auto dealers, who they affectionately refer to as knuckle draggers or Neanderthals, along with their seemingly endless bad business decisions, such as the Rash's pod. Although, after witnessing the repulsive behavior of the executives at Boeing and McDonnell Douglas, really, they're monsters. Monster is too good a word. I would hope nothing would surprise anyone listening to this at this time. I'd like to explain what Cox Automotive is at its core and separate the company's management team and nitwits from its owner, Alex Taylor, and family. By all accounts, by my dealings with Mr. Taylor, to observing him give us his vision for the company, he has no direct knowledge of this action. I believe Alex Taylor to be honest, intelligent, hardworking man. He is a man to be treated with respect and one to be assumed innocent unless the evidence says otherwise. Alex Taylor's only misstep, and it's not a crime, is perhaps he was not as sagacious as Mr. Farley or Mr. Timbliss of Ford and Toyota respectively in who they choose to surround themselves with. Cox Automotive is a collection of companies very wealthy families accumulate over time. When you have the kind of wealth Alex and his ancestors have, you don't buy mutual funds. You don't buy stocks or commodities or even bonds. You buy the whole damn company. Cox Automotive's management team at its core, their core competency is recognizing value in a company and then buying the valuable company and putting it in Alex's portfolio. It's very simple. There is no point in further speculation for me at this time. The CEO, Steve Rowley, is number 2, Tim McKinley, and the next run down, the Rash and Abbott, Chase Abbott, among other possible others for sure know. I'm sure Sudbreck knows. I'm sure Amanda McCord knows. There's people. But those 4 men, really know. The women are a step way down. in their eyes. It's a kind of a sexist company. These four men run Cox Automotive. They never got involved in any of the business they purchased until around 2015. They've tried to exercise more and more control to justify their existence. None of them have any experience in the automotive industry other than working for a company that has the word automotive in their name. Not one of them, not one bit. Raleigh was the CEO of T-Mobile, for God's sakes. The Rash was doing his thing, God knows what. I think everyone reading this letter should think of who they would want Cox executives that really had no experience to be tutored by, and one or two companies they would hope Cox would never use as a role model. For example, CDK and Reynolds would be the two companies you could say, please choose any company, anyone, just not these ones, just not these two, please. Anybody but these two. And they, of course, modeled themselves after CDK and Reynolds to put a stranglehold on the dealer body. And to their credit, the Rash has out CDK'd CDK. Exhibits at the end of the letter and in the link in the description. Exhibit A is going to be kind of context. It's a memorandum order from a judge. This Amy J. St. Eve on the case of Authenticom v. CDK, which essentially is the same as the Cox suit, but no judge ever got a chance to render an opinion on the Cox suit because it settled so fast. Exhibit B, circumstantial evidence, is a description of Peggy J. Wedgeworth's answer to her motion to see Cox's settlement. So what Peggy tried to do is say to the court to compel them, I want to see this settlement between Cox and CDK. I want to make sure it's on the up and up. A little nod to Miss Wedgeworth. Peggy, your instinct was spot on. Judge Gilbert did leave the door ajar, and this is the key to you opening that door and walking right through, because whatever he thinks he saw on camera wasn't the real agreement. Violation 2. Cox Automotive deliberate acts to break the new cyber laws passed by Arizona, Oregon, Utah, North Carolina, and Montana. Because these 5 states had passed legislation banning any DMS company from charging a car dealer to access their own damn data, and the requirement for vendors to share with other vendors the dealers at the dealer's choosing and no cost originated in Arizona. This, along with the fact that Arizona beat back a challenge by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, where CDK sued the former Attorney General of Arizona, the balls on these guys, with the law holding strong in a unanimous decision in that higher court against CDK. The law held strong, so you cannot charge that fee, period, in those states. You can't have a fee. This is one simple, cut and dry one that I do have evidence for, and of evidence of Cox Automotive continuing to charge dealers this fee in those states. And sometimes it's in a pretty kind of sneaky, hidden way, but it's deliberate. Make no mistakes about it. They're hiding it in their Shift Digital account because the evidence will show crystal clear it's identical in every state. So I make no attempt to include the other states at this point outside Arizona in the hard evidence. To do so would increase the volume of the paperwork of this letter prodigiously without giving its reader any additional insight. So Exhibit C, I'll take you through the dealer data law in Arizona. D, I took the DOJ and FBI and all the guys through the article on how Arizona survived the CDK contest to that law and how it kind of was the model for the other states. Exhibit E is kind of a large dealer being charged CDK through. They're mostly Penske dealers, and they're nailing them through their Shift Digital account, kind of in a sneaky way, mixing it in there. And Exhibit F is a smaller dealer. I believe it's actually, to me, it's a big dealer group. It's Finley. And they're cracking them because, well, who cares? Finley's not even worth Cox's time to hide the fee. They're just going to charge them brazenly right in their bill because they think dealers are idiots. But again, like my director, Dan Myrose, who I really can't blame, who's probably really behind my firing, he has no experience in the car business. He's like a child that walked into a conversation with adults and needs to really just walk backwards out of that conversation. He has no business, and really none of the directors do, of working with you guys. A car dealer are the most street smart businessmen out there. I mean, they are just going to just cut these guys to shreds. And that's pretty much why Viato is successful. I remember talking to someone at Viato that I won't name his name, but he said that he's talking to the Rash, and he's like, why? I don't know why we need these performance managers. Isn't the software good? How are these guys getting the results they're getting? Like some of them don't even have college degrees. They're not MBAs. And my girlfriend, and just rolls off her tongue, doesn't the Rash know that Viato hired car guys to talk to car guys? And I go, how did you know that? How did you say that so quick? And the Rash has still got his slide rule out, trying to figure out how it works. Unbelievable. But let's get into digressing. Let's get into violation 3 here of the Sherman Antitrust Act for vertical monopoly. And this is just sick when you read this one. And vertical monopolies are pretty tough to spot. So let's go through it. Cox has slowly and steadily built a vertical integrated monopoly that they call the omnibus solution. Ooh, you get the big smile when you get the omnibus solution. The DOJ has been very quick to stop horizontal monopolies, but a vertical monopoly is so complex, they're pretty tough to spot. Typically, you have to have an industry insider that would need to tip them off. So here goes. This is how it works. Cox Automotive's vertical monopoly. Cox Automotive is a clear, modern example of a vertical monopoly because they control nearly every critical element of a dealership's operation. Here's how it compares to the last vertical monopoly that I can remember, the United States versus AT&T. Control. Cox Automotive over infrastructure, AT&T, although Cox does own infrastructure through Cox Enterprises. So if you're in one of the southern states and need an internet connection, you might be going through Cox Cable. But Cox provides essential services that auto dealerships cannot operate without, like DealerTrack DMS, that handles accounting, and Xtime, which manages service appointments. They control the used car market infrastructure through their Manheim Auto Auctions. Those are physical auctions and online auctions where dealers rely to and buy and sell inventory. And the manufacturer relies on Manheim mostly to dispose of off-lease vehicles. 2, they control the supply chain. Cox touches every part. They got their tentacles in everything of a dealer's operation, from sourcing inventory at Manheim to finding the cars they need by using, let's say, Stockwave, to pricing and managing them through vAuto, to marketing them through AutoTrader or Kelley Blue Book. Cox's Manheim also recently acquired the trucking logistics giant Central Dispatch. Now they make money taking the car to the dealer or picking it up. This can be used to twist pressure on other auctions who can't match this full suite of services and ease of payments that Manheim offers. Manheim is kind of like a nice lending institution. They'll do short-term lending for you before you can floor plan it. Manheim side also acquired the largest EV battery recycling and refurbishing business in the country. They also can certify a car's EV battery as being excellent, good, average, etc. Almost like I guess you'd think of them like the Carfax of the EV battery, right? As any car guy will tell you, the EV buyer is obsessed with their damn battery, which is baffling to me. It should be free exchange like a propane tank. And you solve the range problem right there, but nobody comes to me for the answers, guys. Power and fitness level, almost like we did about horsepower, torque, skid pad ratings when we were kids. So they're all about the battery, just like we were all about horsepower, torque, and skid pad as kids when we were reading Car and Driver. For banks and financial institutions to approve a loan, Kelley Blue Book and DealerTrack's financial products, which can be purchased without going into the full DMS. You can just get it's kind of their version of Route 1 to run a bureau. When Impact Financing is approved by allowing dealers to run prospective customers' credit bureaus, communicate with banks electronically, and then their bundling power, the omnibus. What makes more concerning from a vertical monopoly standpoint is Cox's ability to bundle these services. Dealerships essentially cannot replace with other competitors. They provide everything from the internet service to the DMS to the inventory management, making it difficult for competitors to break in, especially when all the software starts communicating with each other, but now with the competitors. They make sure not with the competitors. So let's say you got vAuto. It's kind of nice to have that Vin Solutions lead sitting right there, right? Well, you should be able to have your whatever CRM you have lead sitting right there. Why they block that is total BS. And it's actually kind of against Arizona's law. This software is where all of the sales leads, Vin Solutions is where all the sales leads online come in and are dispersed to salespeople. Salespeople also log their phone contacts and walk-in buyers into the software. This software offers a client distinct advantages that are almost creepy. Okay, as a former car dealer, I don't even know how I feel about it. Mixed emotions, kind of like my ex-wife driving off a cliff in my new Lexus LFA or Ford GT40. Humor added to the FBI there. Just kidding, guys. But this, but this system will tell a dealer if a customer of theirs, because it knows the customer's IP address, is visiting autotrader.com or dealer.com or kbb.com, what they looked at, how long they looked at it, and even if they just visited a competitor's personal website, provided that competitor's using dealer.com, another business that they own, right? I'm not sure how I would approach a customer with this information. It's just too creepy, for lack of a better term. It's first team All American creepy. Why mess with that over just treating your employees and customers great? Be honest, have great integrity, and respond eagerly and attentively to leads. How can you go wrong? But I'm sure you can imagine how a dealer's head is spinning at this point. They start putting the screws to you, and the dealer starts wondering about, man, if I fight this current, will I just go the way of Blockbuster or Kodak or one of the others? Who else can offer this type of service? And you guessed it, not at a discount, but rather to unlock hidden abilities in their software that will only communicate with each other. Again, putting pressure on the competition while keeping prices nice and high for all of us. By controlling so many layers of the car dealership's operational needs, Cox creates a dependency where dealers may feel forced to rely on them from everything from credit checks to marketing to logistics, minimizing the opportunity for a competitor to enter. Some vertical monopoly characteristics. In a vertical monopoly, the company controls supply chain, offering products, services, multiple levels of production and distribution, making it hard for other to enter at any point without facing fierce competitive disadvantages. Cox Automotive, by providing nearly all operational software and services needed to run a dealership, in my opinion, fits a vertical monopoly a hell of a lot closer. It's not even the same fucking sport as AT&T, which had much more limited control of the telecommunications infrastructure than Cox does over the dealership's software structure and supply chain structure. Cox Automotive's dominance in how it integrates essential dealership services at every level, from inventory management to sales to accounting, is indeed a far clearer example of a vertical monopoly. It demonstrates how a company can create an environment where cutting them out of the operation is virtually impossible. And I think if you live in the western states, it is impossible because you got to have KBB PAR, which stifles competition, allows Cox to maintain dominant position in the market, keeps prices high for consumers, and profits even higher for themselves. In closing, to the readers of this letter, if Cox Automotive had been a snake, it would have bitten you. Yes, this is for law enforcement only, so I don't look at that part. In any event, that's the news, fellas. I'm gonna have Key and Peele take us out from here on a lighter note, because that was a lot to hear.
But we all know the only country that matters is Ohio.
You sweaty, smiley, never gonna be president looking mother.
What?
Hey.
And one more thing, Lorella, it just wouldn't be proper without a little celebration. And that's that, guys. Now let's talk about how to get yourself unfucked in the situation. Step one, it would be my opinion, okay, that you cancel pretty much everything of Cox except for vAuto, Conquest, and Stockwave. Those are quality products represented by quality reps. Now, if your PM was hired in 2024 or, 2024, anything in 2024, I can walk you through if he knows what he's talking about or not. I can give you some questions asked to flush out whether he knows shit from Shinola. And aside from that, each of you are going to want to request a billing breakdown from your PM, okay? Request a billing breakdown. But before you do, just to let you know, again, these guys are so stupid that many of them are undercharging. So this is kind of a mistake on Cox's part. They're overcharging a lot of you guys. A lot of guys are undercharging. So if you have questions of whether you really want to order a billing breakdown, because believe me, if you order it and they're undercharging you, they are going to charge you and they're going to retro it back to the first day. So if you want to contact me, I'm going to put all my information in the description. I'm going to make myself available to every deal in the fucking country. If you want to call me, I'm retired. It's all good. I got nothing to do but to help remove these guys' head from your ass, basically. And at the end of the day, I don't want you to get a higher bill. So run it by me, and I'll let you know if you're probably being undercharged, and just stay quiet. And I'll let you know if you're being overcharged, and you definitely want to get that billing breakdown. We'll order it up. I'll walk you through it. And really, what you want to do too, any of you guys on Profit Time, you've just been hoodwinked. You want to cancel Profit Time. It's a joke. I'll show you how to get it for free, no charge, and you can save a bundle of money. That's just a gift from me to you. Merry Christmas. And again, I'm going to make myself available to you guys. If you ever want to do go-to meetings, stuff like that, I'm happy to help, just to kind of get things in order for you, make sure you're being taken care of right, and then we can start to rebuild with the old crew of performance managers and try to kick the rash and all of his bonehead ideas to the wayside. And also, I'm working with some programmers in India and things like that. Again, I'm going to work with you at no charge, but at some point, I may try to create some software that kind of overlays on top of Viato, much like Viato overlays on top of CDK, that will make Viato a whole lot more effective and a whole lot cheaper. And part of that would include free Profit Time, because it's pretty simple for me to give it to you. That's a lot. That is a lot to take in. I'm just going to take a breath, and I hope you guys have a great and productive weekend. Give me a call. Bye.